Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of 12 Monkeys. Very interesting episode. Basically, we're splitting between the two different time periods. In the future, we have Ramsey as well as Jennifer and the daughters with Deacon and Whitley all heading towards Titan. But in 1957, we have Cole and Cassie dealing with trying to find a primary. And it was a very interesting... I did like, they did their best to split between the, showing you like what's happening in the future, what's happening in the past. Now, when it came to the past stuff, I really liked the fact is we didn't get to see all of it. We saw like little fast forwards of it. Basically, the 11 months that Cole and Cassie spent together, and it wasn't just immediately like, oh, they clicked back together, like that it reunited, that spark they kind of got in the first season. It was like, no, they're still holding on to the baggage that they've acquired over this season, a little bit over season 1, but obviously mostly over season 2. That they're not as tight as they used to be. Like they've drifted apart. They've gone as far as pushing each other away in a sense. Mainly on Cassie's part. I mean, Cole even says it later on because the fact that she's like, oh, I know I know you are in love with me. I've known for a while. He's like, yeah, you've constantly pushed me away because that way you don't feel attached to anything when all is said and done and you have to do what you have to do. You don't have any attachments that kind of slow you down or make you second guess. But get to that a little bit later on. But what I liked the fact is it was almost like a married couple, almost like, like any couple spending time together. They have their problems, but they even said it themselves. They were like, oh, we weren't as nice to each other. We weren't as trusting because they had lost their trust in each other because mainly, remember, she turned her back on him previously. It's like they drugged him back in the previously when they were so busy about trying to get information on Titan, and they ended up like betraying him. So it's like their trust is broken, yet they've had to stay together, like live almost like a couple again, and trying to get information of like, oh, who the primary is. So I really like that. That was kind of a very nice aspect. I was really shocked when you ended up finding out Charlie was the messenger. I was so certain he was going to be the primary. It's just because I was like, because I did like the fact is they were like, oh, well, maybe the primary isn't as crazy, because usually what you see is the primaries are very crazy, like Jennifer, like the ones we've seen in the past have kind of been. The one, I forgot what his name was, the one who basically killed all the other primaries, the one who was a serial killer. Yes, he had disturbing aspects to him, but he seemed the most well-adjusted. He wasn't as just kind of like unhinged and ticking. Maybe he was, and I'm not remembering that well, but he just seemed like, if you didn't know the serial killer aspect to him, you'd think he was a normal dude. So I was thinking like, okay, Charlie, because he brought that up in this episode. It's like, okay, maybe this person is well adjusted. So I was like, okay, I was so certain it was Charlie, especially after all that talking about like, you never know how much time you have left. You always wish you had more time because his significant other was dying from cancer and she was having chemotherapy, and it's just she didn't want him to see her like that. And he was telling Cole, he's like, I know you got feelings for Cassie. Basically, don't waste time because when the time comes, you're always gonna wish you had more time. But it ended up getting revealed. It's like, oh crap, he's the freaking messenger. And not only that, his wife was the primary, that they were in love. Like, that's why he hadn't killed her before now. It's because he was in love with her. Now, how I'm interpreting why he killed her now, it's because of the whole Red Forest thing. He didn't want to kill her. He didn't want to be like the others. Because if he was like the others, he would have killed her long before now to complete his mission. But it's because he fell in love with her. He told her everything about his mission, the Red Forest. She was okay with him killing her because she's like, don't worry, like, when the Red Forest comes, we're going to be together, like, always, forever, in a time, in an existence where there is no life and death, we will always be together. So I don't know, like, it wasn't really pointed out, but I interpret it as it's because she's dying, and if he doesn't do this, there won't be any going back. Like, because at least this way in the Red Forest, they could always be together. Even if she dies now, they'll always be together in the Red Forest. But if she dies naturally from just being sick, then they won't be together again. Because really, this is a very science fictional show, so they don't bring up the concept of an afterlife. I guess that's what the whole Red Forest is supposed to be, is said afterlife. But then we get that whole thing at, like, Cole basically, after, like, Cassie was in a coma for 6 months, she lived out her life a little bit. Like, she spent another 6 months there Well, she looked a little more than 6 months because first it was like a 6 month jump, and we saw it's like, hey, she's a nurse now. Like, I mean, an extra 6 months, but she was a nurse now. She was helping people. She's like, you need to give him penicillin. And she's like, yo, we've never heard of these diseases you're talking about. He's like, I'm a pretty smart dude, and she's like, just trust me. Have I been wrong before? So it's kind of course, she'd find a medical profession and try to help out. I mean, granted, she's already screwing with time a little bit, most likely helping people out that probably helping people out, is a good thing, but it's like when it comes to time travel, that's not such a good thing because you can't throw off the bat. Like, there's no telling what she did by saving that one person, but maybe it's such an insignificant thing. She helped out one person, so who knows? Maybe this means people can be saved. Maybe, you break it down timeline wise. It's like, oh, because Cassie went back in time and revealed, like, oh, you need to use this, and this to cure this illness that doesn't even have a name. It's like, okay, now it has a name, and now we also know how to cure it. So, like, she inadvertently was the one who created the cure, like, announced what the cure was, gave the disease a name, and gave it a cure at the same time. Maybe that's how it works. But nevertheless, what I like is the fact is we have Cole at the house that's like the witness. Like anytime she was in the Red Forest and the house that's always destroying itself being rebuilt, it's like, wait a minute, okay, like that whole ending, I was like, wait a minute, are we setting it up so that Cole is the witness? But then I was like, it doesn't make any sense because I feel like, because going back to it, I did think on some part, like, okay, Cole might be the witness, but then I was like, the fact of the matter is, remember when the witness talked to her, it revealed itself, it took on the form of Aaron, and then it took on the form of Cole to be like, oh, this stuff. Like, I feel like if it was Cole, he would have just revealed his face just to be like, now don't you trust me, like, type of situation to convince her more. Or, maybe something happened, and the reason why Cole wears a mask, the witness wears a mask is because they were severely damaged, and maybe he was trying to show her his old face. That could be it, but I just feel like I just don't think he's the witness. What I'm thinking is because they finally hooked up after everything. It's just like after everything they finally hooked up. Maybe the witness is their kid. I don't know. I'm throwing it out there because of the developments. I'm still betting money it's got to be Sam. Like, we still don't know where that whole Sam storyline went. Last time we saw him teleported away, we have not seen hide nor hair of him since then, so I don't know. Maybe he's, like, the witness is Cole and Cassie's child. I legitimately don't know. Because another thing that needs to be kept in mind too is the fact that Cassie brought it up. She's like, remember, I'm supposed to go back, in 2017 I died. So this can't be the end here, because Cole's kind of accepting it, because he's basically like, yo, I did what I promised I was going to do. I was going to find you a safe place to like live the rest of your life at. It's like away from the plague, away from dealing with all this problems with the future. But it's like, yet time hasn't imploded. We're still here. We still exist. So something's not right. And I don't know, like, it's hard to like say where it's going to go, and because she was thinking about Olivia, because I kind of I wanted to bring this up last episode, but I didn't think about it. But where the hell is Olivia? The last time we saw her was in that episode Fatherhood, where we kind of learned who she is. She was the little girl that she's actually that like daughter of the witness. She's one of the messengers. She's the tall man's half sister or whatever. But it's like, where is she going? The last time we saw her, it's like, she's like, my cycle ends here. Basically, she went off on her own. She left kind of, I would assume, the 12 monkeys behind. So it's like, where the hell is she going? Like, I'm surprised she hasn't popped up yet. Will we see her next episode or not? I don't know. That was just something that was rattling off in the brain when I saw that. It's like, I'm trying to understand what everything means. Like, because why I will also say that maybe it's their kid is because that house holds so much significance. It's like, oh, Cassie's here, and oh, she meets a man here, and that man ends up being Cole. Like, Cole was drawn to the house. He drove by it, and he's just like, just told, like, something just came over me. It's like, it was meant to be. Like, it's something drew him to that house. So it's like, maybe that's why Cole and Cassie are so important to the witness, because they gave birth to him. Once again, don't know. Like, I have no idea where everything is heading. On the flip side, in the future, I really like, because basically you have the daughters basically being like, yo, Jennifer, you're not our mother. Our mother is dead. You're just almost like you're an imposter. You have the same face, but you don't still have her wisdom. We would have died for our mother. We've died for you, but you're not worth dying for. You're not even a leader. And Jennifer's like, of course I'm not a damn leader. And I love the fact that she was even like, and the daughters, they're assholes. I really like that because it's, this isn't the same Jennifer. Like, this is the Jennifer that just lost all the people she had before, all her hyenas. Like, so wasn't the best successful leader there. So it's like, how are you going to tell her? It's like, hey, be a leader now. And it's just like, it's hard, because she's never been in that situation. It was like all out wars. It's like the first time she really saw people like she cares about like dying in front of her, because basically when she and the hyenas were working together, it was like a one-sided battle. They were just like always winning. So this is her first time seeing up close and personal, like people she cared about dying. Not the first time she's seen anyone die, but the first time, well, there was those scientists she was working with, in the lab, where the tall man killed everyone. Those are people she cared about. That was her first experience seeing people die around her. But this is like people she really cared about, people who put their trust in her dying. So, but I did like the fact is that the daughters are not like all for it, especially kind of the more outspoken daughter. She's like, she is not our mother. And she even like decided to go up against Ramsay, which Ramsay kicked her ass. I guess the daughters aren't that well trained. We don't really know what kind of training they've actually been through. It's like Ramsay's had a long time to kind of hone his skills. He's kind of had to live in the wild for a long time, him and Cole, so they know how to handle themselves in the fight. Plus the fact is Ramsay's an old man. Let's not forget about, he's been around for an extremely long time because his aging had slowed down. So he knows how to handle himself pretty well. So. But ended up winning that fight. Was almost about to kill her until Jennifer kind of spoke up. And what I really liked is finding out all these little quotes Jennifer is making from freaking fortune cookies. She started pulling them out of the bag and reading them and tossing them away. So I was like, wow, that's interesting. That's the last time we see of them. But at the end of the episode, we see them like the Whitley, Hannah, as well as Deacon, as well as Ramsay all finally make it a Titan. Let me say something really quickly about Deacon. When you actually see him in that fight, you see him almost kind of like half dead, just charging around, just killing people. I guess, after everything that's going down, he's just kind of finally like, snapped. He's just kind of like a walking dead man. He's just like, he's waiting for death at the next step. It seems like he's almost kind of given up. I mean, last time we saw, like, previous episode, he was kind of, just drinking himself to death, so it's just like drowning himself in alcohol. So I don't know. But what I wanted to say next was the fact is I was waiting for the witness to take his mask off. It's like, okay, we're about to get it's Cole, isn't it? It's Cole. Like, we didn't get the reveal. I'm like, who the hell is the witness? Like I said, my money has always been on Sam since the whole like him disappearing thing, because it's like, what significance does he have, or was that a good sign? Maybe it's not a bad thing that Sam got sent there. Maybe that's actually leading to a good thing. I don't know. So many questions. This could literally go anywhere. It can legitimately go anywhere. Because I was thinking, like, my understanding, like, I know time travel is such a confusing thing. What I'm thinking is, if the witness was Cole, though, like, it could, to a certain degree, make sense, because it's like, okay, Cole went down this, like, he went through everything he's gone through, and that led to him to becoming the witness. But because, remember, the witness hasn't seen everything because there are things that changed. For example, the first being Ramsay surviving. Because Ramsay survived and Cole went back for him, Cole became a different person, started going down a different path. That's why for the witness, it's like, I don't know what's going on now. Like, that's why I'm messing up on certain things, is because of that. Because I lived everything, yet things are changing. Things aren't the same way. The me of the past isn't moving the way he's supposed to. That's one argument about how it could be Cole, but my money's still on Sam, but now, like, really, I don't know. It could either be Cole, it could be Sam, it could be Cole and Cassie's kid. I just don't know. Because also the question is, I brought it up earlier, it's like, Cassie said, I died in 2017. So it's like, how the hell do they get back? The machine isn't there in the future anymore. It died along with Jones. Well, got erased with Jones. So it's like, how will they get back to be in that position to be like, oh, for me to be back there in time to die in 2017 anyway? So it's like, are they going to come across, I just don't know. They're going to come across some time traveling machine, or is it something going to happen? I don't know. Last thing we see on the forefront of everything is Ramsay possibly dying. We see Deacon get his throat slit, Whitley and Hannah both getting stabbed, and it's like, okay, they're dead. And we see Ramsay kind of passing out, so maybe he's dead too. Don't No, there's so many questions. I Next week is the season finale, and I have no like legitimate idea like where this could possibly going, like what the outcome will be of everything. Like, I'm glad, finally we have Cole and Cassie hooking up, finally getting together. But it's still, I can't even enjoy it because I have so many questions. I legitimately have no idea where this is going to go. And I'm actually, which is exciting. I like to be able to figure stuff out, but I'm fine with being dumbfounded because it makes it that much awesome when things start finally revealing themselves. It's like, oh, this happened because of this happening. And it's like, oh, I get the feeling the creators behind this show have been making it along. They've been like playing with us the entire time. Like they're like, oh, we set something up way back when, and you didn't even realize it. From the very beginning, you've been caught up in this little trap of ours that we've been making the gears spin, and you didn't even realize it because you were so focused on this. They kind of do kind of a quoting Lucky Number 11, Kansas City Shuffle, make you look this way when all the action is happening over here, type of thing. So. Very good episode. Like I said, I cannot wait to see the season finale. I'm really crossing my fingers and hoping the show is being brought back for a third season. It is really good. I really like it. It's so good. So, but that's really all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.